Hello everyone, this is Big Alski.
And this is JTB.
And this is Al Hazard's Ninja Gaiden Sigma Hard Karma Run. This is Chapter 7, Part 3. So he's done the Archive Challenge, and now he's coming to get whatever that cup is to go fight the Bone Dragon.
Now, one thing to note on this fight right here is that you will see it when he actually drops the smoke bombs, but they just fall through the floor. Which is, it looks kind of funny, but I don't know what causes that. It is just a Sigma. It's like one of those like weird bugs that's in Sigma, unfortunately. But it always happens on this fight. Your smoke bombs, as a result, won't actually, have any effect at all. So I understand why he's doing it. It's like his habit, but it's just one of those weird things in the game.
So there is a save statue out there that he can save at. Now this is what I'm talking about. Watch him. So he should have on landing right there to charge, instead of on landing, not press Y, and that's the reason he got hit. But he could have UT'd there.
Yeah. Looking at it like that looks like just a misinput, and looking at the amount of points, it costs him like a little bit on the kill bonus. But from the look of it, it wouldn't have affected his actual UTs, which is fine. But again, it's all points for the next guy.
Well, it's. I just think it happens quite a bit, and it's just something to. Maybe he was worried about hitting the wall, because I know that, I've worried about that. Maybe he was worried about doing that. So I mean, who knows? You get in these situations, and sometimes you don't think, as good as you should, I guess.
Yeah. That's true. One thing is to note as well, even though it sounds weird, but like when you speed up the sound, I love the noise Ryu makes when like it's sped up. His voice is like really squeaky. That's really funny. I know this is something that I'm pretty sure we would have mentioned in the commentary that we did for Balbade's run, but for the Lunar UT timing, you'll notice that a lot of it is timed in sync with essence spawning. And when you do that, as long as you don't kill the zombie on the first hit of the Lunar UT and you don't have to move, then you'll be able to charge up an ET while they're dying and their essence is coming out, and then you'll be able to have that ET ready for when the essence appears, and that way you'll be able to constantly chain UTs. Like here, this is a good example. If you're able to keep that going, you're really able to rack up points quite quickly in this.
And again, positioning, knowing how far to go, what the enemies are going to do. Because, one extra jump when you don't need to, and you do that 2 or 3 times, well, now you've lost 4 or 5 seconds, which could be a potential UT, especially with the level 1 Lunar.
Yeah, exactly. That level 1 Lunar is going to come in handy for the zombies. Now, him swapping over to the flails here, you'll note it kills all of the zombies, but he probably could have stuck with the Lunar looking at the amount of enemies, because they were all pretty weak, but like it's probably one of those things where he could have used either or, really, and he's able to still, save some zombies and get some farming here for more UTs.
And one thing that we didn't get a chance to do, we didn't do the commentary for the Archive Challenge, but it's, and I do want to say before I go into the commentary, we're not bashing the guy or anything like that. We're not, trying to point out everybody's faults. We're just giving our analysis of everything. He does a lot of things good, and, some of the things we might do different. So having said that, I felt that, he didn't get 50 UTs, and I felt that he probably could have done that. I would have actually started over and done the Archive Challenge, a little bit different.
Yeah, I definitely echo that. For your Fiend challenges, 50 UTs...
See, that right there, that was, to me, was an unnecessary move.
Yeah.
Or an extra move that he didn't have to do. And again, the reason that we bring that up is, it's more points for the next guy. It's, how you learn from this and get better. So it's all good was what we're trying to say.
Yeah, I'd echo that too. It's not something, it is just analysis of the gameplay. I mean, nobody's Karma run is perfect. That's what anybody watching, like, you have to understand that going in. It's kind of an important thing to understand, actually. If you go into a Karma run with the mindset of, I'm going to do everything 100% perfect, you're only going to disappoint yourself, because that's never going to happen. You have to understand that. Like, there is no such thing as true perfection. Like, you might get the odd fight that goes truly perfect, but you won't get an entire run that goes perfect. But getting back to like the Fiend challenge and stuff, like the reduced time limits in Sigma for the most of the Fiend challenges are actually quite strict. So getting those 50 UTs is something that you really, really want to prioritize in those Fiend challenges, because your kill bonus is going to be far less of an impact on them. Whereas in NGB, you have so much time in the Fiend challenges, you know, your kill bonus is actually something you really want to take into account when you have the 50 UTs. When your main priority is just those UTs, you really want to focus on just getting them. And in the Fiend challenge that he does do in this chapter, it's mainly just a little bit too aggressive. Like, he's very aggressive with the flails, which you do need to be to rack up the kills early on, but you then need to find a little bit of time to get in the Luna in there and try and get those extra UTs. Because I think, if I remember rightly, he's only off by around maybe 4 or 5 UTs, and you would easily be able to get those with the amount of time that you have in the challenge. It's just something that is, you know, easier said than done, but it's definitely possible.
You know, and how I was talking about earlier about jumping around a little bit extra, you know, when you don't need to. Well, the fight before this, as he ended up having to do an ET instead of a UT on the last guy. And whereas if his movement was a little bit better or not doing the extra jump like we had talked about, you know, he probably would have got a UT. So again, we're not trying to say anything negative. We're just showing, you know, there are extra points and how important and critical of knowing where to jump, when to jump, what the enemies are going to do. It's a lot more complicated than people think.
Yeah, that's very true. And like this fight was one of them. Like this right here, what he's doing, this is an example of, you know, perfect manipulation right there. Like that couldn't really go better to get the points out of that final enemy. One thing as well, I just noticed coming into this fight that we didn't mention is you notice these little like blue just kind of things floating around. I mean, I don't know what they're supposed to be, but they are new for Sigma and they drop essence, and unlike the bats that are around this part in NGB, they actually do count for kills. So one thing you'll notice at the end of the chapter is the amount of kills are going to be quite a lot over what you actually need, because when you go through all of these areas, you're going to be killing, you know, maybe 10, 20 of those guys at a time. So that's another kind of nice thing about Sigma, that you can kind of like really rest easy with your kill bonus knowing that.
Right.
I always like that backflip animation that they added. Even though it's kind of annoying, it's not as good as the old one, but it just looks really cool. Now this here, what he's using with the Dragon Sword, it's a pretty easy pattern to get into. As long as you kill the zombies on the final hit of the UT, then, or the second to last one as well. If you roll jump away, you'll have enough time to charge an ET. By the time the essence comes out, you know, you'll time it and get a UT. That's something that's very, very handy. Now, this fight is kind of the bane of this entire chapter. He is being quite safe here with the incendiaries. You want to kind of angle the view so that you only ever see one at a time. That way, in theory, the off-screen ones won't shoot you. The problem with Sigma is, as you can see here, usually in NGB, there's one on each platform. Now, in NG Sigma, rather, there's two on that same platform right there, so you do have to bear that in mind, that you're going to have potentially two of them shooting you at the same time, so you do have to be a little bit more cautious than you would have to be in NGB here.
But also, there's a save statue down there which makes it, you know, a lot easier.
That's true.
Can you imagine, you know, having to go back and you mess that up and have to refight that whole gauntlet before that? I mean,
I don't have to imagine. I've done that. I've done that many times. It's the worst part. Now, the boss strategy is fairly straightforward. Obviously, you just want to kill it as fast as possible. But one thing you want to make sure you do, and he is doing a very good job of it here, that the 360Y with the dual katanas, as you can see, is very, very strong. But in the animations where the boss is changing his feet, obviously you can't actually do any damage. This is where you want to try and get any stray UTs and kill the wasps as fast as possible, because you should be able to at least throw some incendiaries. That's really good Nimpo manipulation there again to abuse the invulnerability. And that way you can bump up your kill bonus by quite a bit, because you're going to have more kills in the overall sum, and you're also going to be able to get UTs as well.
Right.
Because if I remember rightly, I don't think you can UT this boss even in Sigma. You could in, I think, NGO and... not NGO, sorry, the Hurricane packs, but
right,
other than that, that was it.
Too bad he went a little bit closer there to get it done. And again, nice Nimpo cancel to do it. and also the menu to, put the Nimpo back in real quick. But that's going to be it for this chapter. The time limit is 56 minutes. It sure helps to have those extra saves. The kills are 241. So, I feel like we missed a few points there in the archive challenge. More for the next guy, but we'll see in the next chapter.
Take care, guys.